So this session here is just a little bit of a review for those people who might need a review because you struggled a little bit or you were absent. So we talked for 2 days before that big snowstorm about how to come up with central ideas. And then the next day, we practiced rethinking our central ideas in light of new evidence and new information from your nonfiction text. And we're going to see that we're going to determine possible central ideas first, right? And we're going to mull them over. We're going to think about possible central ideas. So for this, first you determine the possible idea by using clues, and sometimes there are no clues, so you have to kind of use your inferring skills. Then, once you have that, you have to rethink your central idea based on new information. So expect your central idea to evolve from the beginning of your article to the end, from the beginning of your book to the end. All right. I hope this was helpful for those of you who needed a review. Signing out, Mrs. Garrett. And see what we do first. So one of the things that you do when you're reading a nonfiction text, whether it's New ZLA or a children's book, is that you kind of look around and you look at the front of the cover, you look at the back, you look at the intro. And as if it's an article from New ZLA, you look at all of the headings. And the headings will give you some clues to what the central idea is. And the central idea is an idea with basically is the big idea. You think about what is the big idea of this whole article? What is the big idea of this book? Typically books have one or two big ideas, and every time you come up with new from the text or the article, you don't change your initial big idea, you just revise it. And so I'm going to tell you how to do that in a few minutes. So when you're reading an article or a book, you're going to be noticing really fascinating parts, and you're going to think about them, and then you'll jot down a few points. All right? Perhaps it could be, and I notice that you are doing a great job. When you're thinking about central ideas, really what you're thinking about is what is the big message the author wants to teach me. Let me make this a little smaller here. So let me just do that one more time here. What is the big message the author wants to teach me? That's a lot like when we talked about this is nonfiction, but if you remember correctly, when we started talking about fiction, when we were talking about character and all that, I taught you theme, right? And the question that helped us go from motif to theme was basically the same. What is the author's message? What is the author trying to teach me? And then we came up with a universal sentence that became theme. I want you to think about that as you are coming up with the central idea. It's just like theme, except it is for nonfiction. What is the author trying to teach me? What's the big message? That's what a central idea is, right? And then, of course, a main idea is the main point to get you there. And we'll talk to you a little bit more about that. So, when you are reading an article, and let's just say that the article you're reading, and your first thing you want to do is, first step for me, this always works, is when I read an article, I say to myself, what is the central idea? What is the big idea? Same thing. What does the author, or what is the author trying to teach me? All is the central idea. When I read an article, the first thing I do with my eyes, that's a nice looking eye there, I might add, is I look at the headings first. And I say to myself, ooh, I'm just reading those headings, right? And I read them because it helps me come up with the central idea. It helps me understand some of the main points that the author is trying to make. Sometimes authors of articles don't put in headings, right? They don't. And so you don't have the headings to help you come up with a central idea. So I have to erase that. Sometimes there are no headings at all. And you have to basically look at your article and read the text, and you have to come up with the central idea, thinking here, and then with new information, maybe your central idea that you had here changes to a new central idea in light of new evidence. There's new evidence, right? So based on that, let's review a little bit, all right? First, your goal is to try to find the central idea of a text. There are some different ways of doing that. Sometimes it's easier to do it when there's a big title and headings, right? So good readers will say to themselves, what's the central idea? What's the big idea? What is the author trying to teach me? And a really good reader will sit back and look at these things, look at the heading, look at the subheadings, and if there's a picture or an image, they'll look at those, and they'll say, I know what the central idea is, and they have an idea of what that big message is, and so they come up with it here based on that. It's kind of like a hypothesis in science. Oh, I think the big message, the central idea that the author is trying to teach me is this, because, and then as they read, there's going to be new evidence, new information. And based on that new information, your central idea will revise. You'll change it. You won't create a new one. You'll just change your initial one if there's new evidence that allows you to do that. That's what good authors do. But like I said, sometimes a text does not have those headings and subheadings. And so what is a reader going to do? In that case, a reader will sit back and read and read and read. And without those clues of headings and subheadings, the reader will look for clues. The reader will say, I think the central idea is this at the beginning. The big message is this. This is what the author is trying to teach me. And then maybe a good reader will jot down some evidence. And now at the end, the good reader will say, wait a minute. The big message, based on all this new evidence, is the author is trying to teach me that, for example, plastic, I'm just giving you an example of what it might look like, a central idea. Plastic pollution is quadrupling. I'm just going to say this. Hold on, let me back up. Let me come up with another one. Plastic use has increased since the 1970s, clogging up, I should just say polluting our oceans. And that's just a sentence, right? It's a lot like theme is in fiction. Remember, theme, we came up with motifs, some obstacle, some challenge, and then we came up with theme. Again, theme is for fiction. Central idea is for nonfiction. The next thing we want to do is we want to kind of look to see how the ideas and let me just see if I can do this, events or people are developed in the article. That will help you, and that will help you come up with all of the information you need for nonfiction text. All right, so again,